In this video, we are pitting the Michelin Pilot Sport 5 against the new Giti Sport S2+. We will put them in the test of wet, dry, noise comfort and rolling resistance to find out which tyre is suitable for your sporty vehicle. Wet braking, the most safety critical test, because the problem is a small difference here have huge consequences. In this test, we are testing the wet braking distance from 80 km/h down to 0, and the scoring is simple. The shorter your wet braking distances, the better your tyre is. And this translates into real-life wet confidence and those extra meters that can prevent you from having an accident.
Let's start with wet braking. The Michelin Pilot Sport 5 stops in 28.3 meters. The Giti Sport S2 Plus stops in 29.7 meters. That means Michelin stops 1.4 meters shorter, giving it around a 5% advantage. So in pure wet braking safety, Michelin still wins. And this matters, because wet braking is one of the clearest areas where premium tyres usually justify their pricing. In subjective wet handling, Michelin scores a 7.2 score, while GT scores 7.1. That is almost identical. But the surprise comes in wet lap times. Michelin does a lap in 30.4 seconds, while GT does it in 30.1 seconds. So GT is actually 0.3 seconds faster. This tells me that Michelin still gives slightly better wet braking, but GT has a very strong wet cornering performance.
Aquaplaning, one of the most dangerous wet driving conditions that you ever face. Because the problem is, once you have it, you lose control instantaneously. So, in this aquaplaning test, we are measuring the speed at which your tyre loses control. The scoring is simple. The higher your speed, the better aquaplaning resistance you have. And why does it matter? Because higher aquaplaning resistance gives you more confidence in heavy rain and you go through water puddles with certainty.
Aquaplaning is GT's strongest win. Michelin starts to aquaplane at a slipping speed of 75.9 km/h, while GT reaches 81.1 km/h. That is a 5.2 km/h better, or around a 7% advantage. For heavy rain, highway puddles, and tropical conditions, this is a meaningful result. Michelin wins in wet braking, but GT clearly wins in water evacuation.
Dry braking. This is the baseline performance. Because the problem is, it's expected of every tyre to perform well in dry braking. And in this test, we are measuring the stopping distance from 100 km away down to 0, like this, here. And the scoring is simple. The shorter your braking distance, the better your tyre is. And why does it matter? Because a shorter stopping distance could be the difference between having an accident or avoiding one.
In dry braking, Michelin stops in 37.3 meters. GT stops in 37.7 meters. There is only a 0.4 meter difference. So Michelin wins again, but the gap is tiny. For normal driving, most people probably would not feel this difference. Dry handling is where Michelin starts to pull away. Subjectively, Michelin scores a 7.2 rating, while GT scores 7. In lap time, Michelin does 29.8 seconds, while GT took 30.5 seconds. That makes GT 0.7 seconds slower. So when pushed harder, Michelin still feels sharper, more stable, and more premium.
Comfort and noise is something every driver feels, but it's not measured properly because it depends on different surfaces. Today, we are measuring comfort and noise at two different surfaces. One is rough and one is smooth, to find out which one delivers the best comfort and noise tyre. The scoring, very simple. The higher the score, the better the comfort and noise tyre. And why does it matter? Because a comfortable tyre actually lets you feel less fatigue, more comfortable ride, and a quieter cabin. Let's find out.
For comfort and noise, Michelin scores a 7.2, while GT scores 7. So Michelin is slightly more refined, but the difference is small. For daily driving, GT is close enough that comfort is not a major weakness.
Rolling resistance, one of the most important factors when it comes to efficiency. But the problem is, you can't really see or feel rolling resistance. But there's a simple way to illustrate. We put two tyres on the slope, both at equal conditions, and we let it roll down. So physics takes its role, So we're looking for the tyre which can roll the furthest, which means it has the lower rolling resistance. The scoring is simple. And what does it mean? It means that a lower rolling resistance tyre actually increase your battery mileage for your EV car, and most importantly, improve fuel savings.
Rolling resistance is another small win for GT. Michelin scores a coefficient value of 8.5, while GT recorded a 8.4. That means GT is slightly more efficient. The difference is only about 1%, so it's not that huge. But it adds up to a bigger story. GT is not just cheap, it's surprisingly well balanced. Now, let's add mileage. This is where Michelin still shows its long-term strength. The Michelin Pilot Sport 5 achieves 59,670 km, while the Giti Sport S2 Plus achieves 50,020 km. That means Michelin lasts about 9,650 km longer. In percentage terms, GT reaches around 84% of Michelin's mileage. So Michelin still wins clearly. But unlike some cheaper challenges that might collapse in mileage, the GT result is actually respectable. It is not equal to Michelin, but it is not terrible either. And if price gap is big enough, this mileage results makes the GT a much more serious value option. So what's the conclusion? From my point of view, the Michelin Pilot Sport 5 is still the better complete tyre. It wins in wet braking, dry handling, comfort, and mileage. It feels more premium, more control, and more complete. If you want the safer, sharper, long-lasting tyre, Michelin is still the one I would choose. But the Giti Sport S2 Plus is much closer than expected. It nearly matches Michelin in wet handling feel. It beats Michelin in wet handling lap time. It clearly wins Aquaplaning. It is slightly better in rolling resistance. And even though Michelin wins mileage, GT still delivers 50,000 km, which is a respectable result. So Michelin is still the better tyre, but GT is the surprise.
Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.